It is live.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome, welcome. Today, we are talking about how to adapt your business to the modern world. And we are Nate and Simone. We talk all things marketing. And yeah, we talk all things marketing. And we're going to talk about being adaptable, having an adaptable business. It's an advantage, it is leverage, and how do you stay competitive in today's market? There's so much that is changing. So let's get into it. Hey, Nate.
Hello, hello. Glad to be here once again. Um, I love the old saying, Simone. There's nothing consistent and true, unchangeable about this world as the fact that everything will change, right?
That's right. There is nothing constant except change.
There you go. Thank you. That's a much more succinct way of putting it. I knew it was in there somewhere.
It's in there
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. And
Hmm.
and we see it in our everyday lives. But those of us who are in business, well, just all of us really, um, just as we are living our lives every day, and we're running businesses, and we're trying to go out here and serve clients, and we're learning effective ways of marketing and finding clients, serving them, trying to keep them, retain more clients. We're seeing new technologies and new techniques and things that are just happening, and attitudes of our clients and customers. All of these things are changing, and we have to adapt. We have to adapt. Like just in the last couple of years, with AI just bursting onto the scene, um, it's set a lot of people are uneasy about it, and while others are embracing it wholeheartedly and incorporating it into every area of their business. So what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think I don't know. It may be maybe a bit of a uh, an overstatement, but marketing is one of those industries I think that is it's kind of based on change, right? Like it's sort of like thrives on change, like
Mm,
and not only that, but it's all about being able to kind of know when things are changing and how to follow that trend, right?
right,
And
right.
so that's what so much of marketing is about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about like our topic last week when we were talking about KPIs and measurement.
Yeah,
When we are being able to measure what's happening, and what our audience and what our clients are doing, what they're gravitating towards, and what's not working, then it helps us as marketers to change and to adjust, knowing what is working and what's not working.
exactly. Yeah, and unless you are tracking that, that's going to make that decision making process a lot more difficult, right?
Yeah.
You're just going to be doing a lot of guessing. Otherwise, I think it's this, but what do they say? Hope is not a strategy. So, it's,
Right, right. So
um,
having numbers is great.
yeah. Oh, we got somebody joining us here.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
all right. So yeah. Hello. Can you hear us,
Is it Angela?
Angela?
Yeah, sorry to kind
Oh,
of a person told me this on my challenge a couple of weeks ago. They were like, don't call them out as soon as they join the room,
oh,
because that
oh,
might
my
make
fault.
people anxious. And I'm like, oh
Yeah, fair
man,
enough.
I don't want to make
Fair
anybody
enough.
anxious, but we know you're
Record
here.
scratch.
Welcome.
Stop. Someone's here. No.
Right?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, she
and
just left. That's funny.
she's like, I don't
Whoops.
know. They just called me
Whoops.
out. Oh, but
Yeah,
yeah.
anyway.
But let's
I don't
get
know
into
where she was coming
being
from.
adaptable.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're going to be talking about why adaptability is crucial, how to anticipate and respond to trends, and how innovation can help with your long-term growth strategy. So,
Absolutely.
first off, why adaptability is critical, um, especially in a rapidly changing market. It seems kind of obvious, right? If things are changing rapidly, then you got to be able to change along with it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're going to go down with the ship, I guess.
Yeah, and they talk
So,
about how like if you're a new business, it's so much easier to adapt and to change. Whereas
yeah,
if you're a much larger business, then it's harder to change when you have processes and systems and everything is just it's been working smoothly for years, and then
yeah.
um,
Or
it's harder to change.
or it hasn't been working smoothly, but everyone's adapted to that.
Right. Oh, that's true too. That's true too. Sometimes we get used to dysfunction, and we
Yeah,
get stuck in our ways, and
yeah,
we get nice and entrenched in in our comfort zones.
yeah.
Um yeah, and
The,
we don't
the,
want to change.
I worked for a company that was over 120 years old, and
Mm.
so they did things, that they've been doing for, 50, 60, 70 years. And that's just the way we do them,
Yeah.
And so it's like the analogy is like trying to steer a large ship, right? It takes a
Yes.
while for it to turn around. So,
Yeah,
um,
it does.
yeah. Um, And I think that there's probably certain industries that are changing faster than others. I think, marketing is one of those case in point. The evolution of AI has rapidly changed marketing and how people market. AI has also affected other industries, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Automation, as I understand it, automation with a big A, I guess you could say, and that applies all different types of automation, not just ChatGPT, but there's automation in the automotive industry, in manufacturing, etc.
Mhm.
Automation is the number one reason that American manufacturing has like the perception is that it's declined over the last few years, even though 2024, as I understand it, was the banner year, like best year for American manufacturing ever, right?
Hmm.
But the perception is that American manufacturing is kind of on the decline, but that's because there's so few people employed in it anymore due
Right.
to automation.
It's automation, right?
A lot of people have lost their jobs in manufacturing due to automation.
Yeah.
So that's a big change there.
Mm.
Um, and a lot of it has to do with customer behavior, right? And shareholder um wishes. You know,
Right. Exactly.
um, you got to make the
In a lot of
shareholders happy.
companies, the employees are the biggest expense. And so when companies are looking to grow their profits and minimize the expenses, then they look at the biggest expense and look for ways to lower that. You can lower your expenses very quickly if if you lower the number of employees you have and
Yeah,
automate those jobs. Um,
yeah,
and it's not pretty for the people working those jobs, but for the bottom line of the company, it looks great. And
yeah,
the CEO is happy, all the C-suite people are happy, and the shareholders are happy, higher profits. And so
Yeah, yeah, but at the cost
that's the
of,
trend and that's where it goes. Yeah.
yep,
And so
unfortunately.
when we're looking at employees who are losing their jobs, then so what do we say to them? Well, we
Hmm.
say to them, um,
Buy the
do the
products
same
that you
thing.
used to make.
Well, I know, right? Well, I would say for them, leverage your gifts,
Yeah.
use your gifts and apply the same kind of leverage that the company that laid you off is applying. Because
Mm.
the technology that is available now, so much of it like that big companies are using is available to the masses, really.
Yeah.
And not at a high cost.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. Um, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about companies that failed because they did not adapt. The most
Mm.
famous, one of the most famous, in my opinion, is Blockbuster and Netflix. Okay.
Yeah.
Blockbuster was approached by Netflix saying, "Hey, you guys do DVDs and videos. We do videos, but we have this interesting little advantage where we're actually mailing them. Buy us,
Hmm.
take our business model, adapt it into yours, and because this is the future."
There you go. Hmm.
Well, I mean, Blockbuster just wasn't having any of that. They decided. So I think I just heard something recently about this. I always assumed that Blockbuster kind of laughed them out of the room because they thought for sure that's not going to go anywhere, right? But
Yeah. But
as I,
it
as I
turns out,
understand it, as I understand it, they're thinking. Let me see if I can remember this correctly. The way they were thinking about it was, you know, why would people? We can't ask our customers to store our videos. You know,
mm,
that doesn't make any sense, right? Which is essentially what Netflix was wanting to do, right? We're going to reduce
yeah.
our inventory. We're going to reduce the complexity of housing all of these videos and whatnot. We're just going to offload that onto the consumer. Um,
Mm,
that's kind of like the chain of thought that led to, well, the superior choice here is to just stream it on video, right? That way nobody has
right.
to actually have a physical object. But
Right.
um,
And then DVDs are more sensitive too. And so something
mm,
happens to it in transit, then you're ending up with a DVD that won't
yeah,
play or is skipping at a certain point or whatever. And so yeah. But I know that I think another issue with Blockbuster and why they didn't like Netflix's proposal was that they got a lot of their business model depended on overdue fees. So
mm, oh
when
yeah,
you don't bring the video back in time, then they'll charge you an extra fee. And so they were racking up these overdue fees. And so if you know Netflix's idea was we'll send you the video. We're not charging you an overdue fee. We just won't send you another one until you send the one back that you
right,
have.
right.
Um,
But that
and
is the kind of the
Blockbuster's like,
trade-off
oh
for,
no, we don't.
yeah,
There's no overdue fees. Oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah, that was kind of the trade-off for agreeing to be Netflix's inventory management. So
Hmm. Yeah,
uh, anyway,
yeah. Hmm. I
so
have
that
heard
that's
that
an
Blockbuster's still around, but their business is completely different now. They're not
is
in
that right?
entertainment. They're not doing,
Well, I
video,
think
anything like that. They've just
isn't there
completely changed
one
their whole business.
isn't there one store still open in Alaska
I
or something like
did
that?
hear that there is one store that is still out there. Yeah, at this point, it's probably a tourist attraction.
Museum. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Um, okay, so I'm sure that there are other examples out there. I encourage the viewers to put their comments in the chat or whatever to tell us more.
yeah,
Um, but adaptability is not just about surviving, but it's thriving. You got to stay competitive, right?
yeah.
And and continuing to grow. So now let's talk a little bit about anticipating and staying ahead of the trends before you get disrupted. Um, yeah. So um, let's start off with market research. Do you do market research, Simone?
Discovery calls end up being market research. And
Mm,
also being in groups where your ideal customer hangs out and listening to them talk and is great market research as well. So yeah. And then if I do an activity, I do a challenge, I do an event, or you put out a product and you pay attention to how it's received and the feedback that you're getting. That's great market research as well. You
mhm.
get an idea of what it is your clients and your customers are thinking about and what they're needing.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. Keeping a finger on the pulse when it comes to your customers, but part of that customer experience, I think
Yeah.
that's key. There's also things you can do like, surveys and whatnot. Uh,
Mhm.
Competitor
Quizzes.
analysis is part of
Mhm.
that as well, right? Like, how do you go about researching competitors?
Yeah.
There's tons of different tools out there to use for that, and like similar web, you find websites that are similar to your competitors, a known competitor, and then all of a sudden you have a ton of other websites, that are kind of in the same category, and you can get a pretty decent idea of what's going on, what they're doing, what's working for them, so that you can apply it to your own, et cetera, et cetera. Um,
You know what some companies are doing that we don't really think about a whole lot, but they hire mystery shoppers,
yes, yep,
and the
that's
mystery
fine.
shoppers are going to come in, especially if you're a brick and mortar business. Well, even a business that's not necessarily brick and mortar. Sometimes a mystery shopper can just call you on the phone and ask you a bunch of
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
And then that mystery shopper is going to evaluate different aspects of your business from a shopper's
One
perspective and
one
report
of
back.
my clients was doing competitor analysis, market research when he attended a local event for, in this case, it's kitchen bathroom modelers.
Hmm.
Um, and his competitors were there. They had booths, so they didn't know him from Adam, right? So he goes up to him and just starts asking him questions, and he was just getting information about their process and the types of questions that they ask, and like their qualifying questions and that kind of thing. It's just kind of seeing, that was his intention. He went there to see the types of things that they would ask him so that he could turn around and then maybe use it for his own process, right?
That's right. That's exactly what Sam Walton did and how he built Walmart to where it is. He looked
Yeah.
at other stores around and in the neighborhood and just to see what they were doing. And he took elements of each, what was successful in each, and and used them in his store and
Yeah.
got huge.
Yeah. Um, Nowadays, having the internet, and digital marketing, it makes everything easier to quantify and track, right? And to some extent, there's some
To some
caveats
extent,
there,
yeah.
but um, there's this little handy tool that I like to use called Google Trends. If you're familiar with Google Trends, you can go to
I heard of it,
uh,
yeah.
Google Trends. Just do a Google search for Google Trends. It'll pop up, and
Google
then
is a great company to go
yeah,
to for a lot of this because they
yep,
know so much about us.
yep, exactly.
They know
And
our
and
habits, our search
obviously
habits, and
they know a lot
companies
what
are
what people are searching.
advertising.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and you can just it's trends.google.com/trends. That's what it is. But go there, ask it questions, and you can start to drill down on the trends that are occurring relative to uh, keywords that you're interested in, right?
Hmm.
Or you can kind of see what is being searched for. What are people looking up? You can just go to trending now is a tab that you can
Yeah.
use and go in there. Like right now, 2 hours ago, Kenyan green is a big one in
Yeah,
the
I
last
saw that.
24 hours. 100,000 is the search volume, up 1,000%, right? Southwest
Yeah.
Airlines, I think that they just started to charge for luggage for the first time in their entire history.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness, that's not a good
yeah,
trend.
hmm exactly. Uh, a lot of these are NBA related searches, so that's interesting. But so anyway, yeah, Google Trends.
Because Eagles, Texans acquire Eagles. Um, oh, because yeah, so something is happening, and so people
Yeah,
are searching for it and trying to figure out what's going
you
on. Why
can
is why
you
is
can
such and such trending?
yeah, you can use this to your advantage. A lot of people do. They'll write a blog post that includes those keywords, and
Yeah,
so they can kind of catch on to the coattails of that trend.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is
Um,
a good tool to keep track of.
and it's 100% free.
Pay
So
attention to. This
you
is one of
can,
the things I like about Google. It's
yeah,
like they take all this data that we give them and then they basically give it back to us for free for the most part.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, that's helpful.
absolutely. Have you ever used Google Alerts?
I have. I have. And
So that's another,
that's a good tool as well.
yeah. So if you want to keep track of like, when interesting news happens related to a topic that you're concerned about, go to
Mhm.
Google Trends, set up an alert, and they will send you an email that has a list of all the articles that are talking about that particular search term, whatever. And
Yeah.
as it happens, you can kind of adjust how many times they're emailing you and whatnot. But play around with that. You can keep tabs of what the heck's going on. If you want to keep tabs of what people are saying about your competitors, for example, you can
Yeah, that's true.
keep a alert for your competitors' names so that you can find out all the bad news and capitalize on that. So
Or if you're just looking for gossip, you can put in a celebrity's
there you
name
go. There you go. There you go.
and keep track of what's being said about them, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so let's see here. Any examples of businesses that have successfully changed their model based on a certain trend that you can think of?
Um, the first thing that popped into my head was KFC. And and I'm wondering if it's because like they changed their name, and Dunkin' Donuts is doing the same, right? Instead of saying we're Dunkin' Donuts, we're just Dunkin', right?
Mm,
Kentucky Fried Chicken became KFC, and it could be because they saw a trend happening. Like maybe we want to expand, or we don't want to just be known for donuts. We don't want to just be known for chicken, and so and so they changed their name.
interesting. Wow. I guess I didn't really think about that, but that does make sense.
Yeah. And Domino's
Um,
too. Um, they didn't change their name, but they changed their dough recipe because people thought it was awful. And they acknowledged it. They said, you know what? Hey, we acknowledge our dough sucks. We're
was
working
it?
on the recipe. We're gonna come out with something better. And they did. The last time I tried Domino's pizza, I thought it was great.
Wow. Somebody, I don't remember if it was Stephen Colbert that recently said that Domino's now has emergency pizza hotline, for
Yeah, they've been
when you're
advertising
in
that.
dire need of a
For when
pizza.
you're in dire
But
need of a pizza.
the point he made was I usually experience the emergency after I eat the pizza. maybe with this new recipe, that's not such a big deal.
Oh, that's hilarious. I had the emergency after I eat the pizza. Well,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, that could be
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah, maybe
Some
that's why
people
they
should not
changed the
be eating pizza.
recipes. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, their first recipe, the dough was terrible. It did not taste good at all.
That's
It
good.
did not taste good.
All
They
right.
had to change it.
So once you've anticipated the change, you have to figure out how you're going to implement this. What is the strategy involved here? So that is where, was it necessity is the mother of invention? Uh,
Invention, absolutely.
becomes important.
Yeah.
So invention or innovation, I guess. How to use that to your advantage to help keep you competitive.
Oh, yeah.
So innovation in this case, or invention, is it's more than just developing a new product, right? It can also involve simply improving your processes. In
Absolutely.
my example earlier about the companies that were for 120 years old, their processes, they went through several different changes as far as their processes are concerned, and not everybody was happy. I'll say that because
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't like change, right?
yeah, yeah, and
They like people,
especially
they
like
like things to stay the same as it always was.
yeah, if you are a business that, has gotten by, doing things a certain way, you're kind of like, well, if it ain't broke, why try to fix it, right?
Right.
But if that change, that innovation in the process or simple improvement of the process could lead to, further revenue growth and whatnot, then why not take it into consideration, right? Um, and uh, having a strategy around how you're going to tell people about that, I think is also crucial. And of course, customer experience. All of the key components that are near and dear to my heart. As I think also yours, Simone. But um, so it's not just about developing new products. You have to think about the processes, the strategy in your marketing, and how it affects customer experience.
Absolutely.
Um,
Remember,
so,
Zoom had to figure that out during the pandemic.
oh
Um,
yes,
because during the pandemic, all of a sudden they have all these new customers. But not only do they have all these new customers and they have to expand their capacity, but then they also have to deal with the opportunists who are scamming and just want to either get their name out there or just hurt people. And so they had to tighten up their security processes as well, so that when you get on a Zoom call, you can be sure that you're going to be involved in the meeting or the
yeah,
presentation that's happening, and other people who are not encroaching on your meeting and taking over and posting, showing all your attendees stuff that you're not interested in them seeing.
yeah, yeah,
you know they had
yeah.
to they had to innovate and really get good at locking down their meetings.
I was talking to a guy, it's probably been a year or so ago. He was telling me about how he would go into companies to help them with their processes. And one of the companies was a furniture manufacturer. He found that the way that they were wrapping the couches and the chairs and whatnot was extremely inefficient because they were doing it by hand. And so he just by implementing an automated wrapping system, so it came right off the line and it went right
Mhm.
into the wrapper. It drastically improved their delivery time,
Mm.
which meant that they were increasing their profits because they could get more out the door, right? So they were increasing their throughput
Yeah,
to get things out, and so it made customers happy. It increased their positive reviews and referrals and everything, and all of a sudden, just by implementing one simple
that one
change
change. Yeah.
to their process. Um, so anyway,
Mm.
um, now you don't companies that are not interested. and trying to figure out how to do things better, you know, they're not going to be interested in that idea, right? Of improving.
Mm,
So there's the concept of there was an article written in the early 80s called uh, the five stages of small business growth. And they did a bunch of experimenting, surveying, talking to business owners and whatnot. And while it's true that there's a lot of variables, obviously between businesses, what they
mhm,
found was that there were some key overlaps, and they were able to kind of derive um, key stages, five key stages of small business growth. And at each stage, it included a crisis of some kind.
mm,
Um, and what they found was the businesses that were in the stage where they were ready to grow. So there's like survival, right? There's like survival, existence, uh, and then like growth, and then
right, mhm.
success. That's not the precise names, but
Yeah,
um,
but I know that one of
when
the
they're
stages was
yeah,
plateau, right?
yeah, well, so that's kind of um in the growth stage,
Is that the last
you
stage? Oh,
the you have the crisis there is the crisis of control.
mm,
And so if the business really wants to grow and continue growing, then they have to cede control to some degree. They have to be ready, willing, and able to delegate. You know, what got them to that point won't get them to the next level, in other words, right? And their
absolutely.
choice, if they choose, they can continue holding on, at which point they will either plateau or they will sink. you know but if they do choose to delegate and bring other people in, then that is their option for growth, right?
Yeah,
um, and so having that as part of the culture, the willingness to experiment and innovate without having to worry about failure, I think is crucial. And being willing and able to, allow others to help you along that process, I think is key.
right.
Um,
Especially even sometimes like, and I don't know if it feels like a lot of companies are afraid of this, but having some of that innovation come from the inside, where your employees are experimenting and providing ideas from from their own lives and what they see, and being consumers themselves, having that having a culture of experimentation in your business will, I believe that that would help a lot of businesses, that helps them to grow and continually innovate, and just take a risk of hearing the ideas from within, from your own employees who
yeah,
are invested in seeing your business succeed. The
yeah,
more the business succeeds, the more you can pay them.
the higher the higher up the food chain in a business you go, the further away from the front line and actually knowing
Hmm.
the experience that the customer has with the product or the service or whatever it may be, you are, right? And so um, opening up those chains of communication, allowing people who are actually, the foot the on the front lines, the foot soldiers, right? Allowing them to give feedback to the people at the top is crucial because they are the ones who know.
It's true.
They deal
And a
with it
lot
every
of times
day.
they're the ones, yeah, they're the ones interfacing with customers every day.
Yeah.
That's why I like that show Undercover Boss,
Yeah.
where the
Well, I had no
CEO
idea it
is
was like this, right?
right,
Yeah.
had no
Yeah.
idea. They're out there, just on the front lines, and they're doing some of the heavy work.
Yeah.
And they see
Yeah.
they see the interaction with the customer, and they see the issues that, like, sometimes the technology is cumbersome, and the customer has to wait for so long. And I saw that with one episode where they were working the front desk at a hotel, and the customer is just standing there, just whew, okay, are we going to be done anytime soon? But their system
Yep.
just seemed to be just so cumbersome, going back and forth and here and there. And
Yep.
that the CEO just realized, oh wow, this is terrible. We need to fix this.
Yep.
They had to
Exactly.
see firsthand. But yeah, you're
Hmm.
right. Like the further up the food chain you go, the farther away you are from the customer's experience and the experience of the your employees on the front line.
Yep. And choose to sit in your ivory tower at your own peril, I guess.
At your own peril.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
um, okay, so the question here is, are there any areas in your business that could benefit from being more innovative? Think about that one. Write it down in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Okay,
Where can you
so
be innovating?
now that we've explored why and how to innovate, let's talk about how, some actionable steps we can take to be nimble. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. So, that's what reminds me of. Um, all right. So market research, using intelligence tools, surveys, things like similar web, like I mentioned. There's also gosh,
The
SparkToro,
trends.
SparkToro,
Oh,
Google
SparkToro,
Trends,
yeah. Yeah, Google Trends and Google Alert.
Google Alerts. So with SparkToro is a paid tool, obviously. SimilarWeb is paid, but Google Trends and Google Alerts, those are both free. So, you know, you're going to get, varying results, right? Depending on what you're paying for, obviously. For my buck, bang for my buck is I think that the best tool, in my opinion, is SparkToro, just because of the um, array of information that it gives you. Not just about your competitors, but about your audience, where they're going, what's interesting to them. That maybe you anyway. Competitors are one thing, but what your audience is actually interested in. By the way, Google Trends, they actually use Google Trends in SparkToro, so that's actually incorporated in there. So just to give you an idea. Anyway, all right. Having a culture of innovation, giving your teams the license, the ability to experiment without being afraid of messing up.
Yeah.
Um, One thing that I've been talking with a client about is um, equipping his guys in the field, or encouraging his guys in the field to come up with the best way to do something, a certain process. So he's a kitchen bathroom modeler, right? So he is bringing in people that have diverse array of experience in the industry, working for other places. Maybe they had their own business at some point, but along the way, they've come up with ways of doing things. Maybe they have a certain way of doing the grout in the tile, for example, or maybe they have a certain like process for doing painting a ceiling, et cetera, et cetera. Or maybe they have the best way for cutting molding, so that it actually fits correctly and all that, with minimal effort,
Hmm.
right? So having that, encouraging them to document it in some fashion. So easiest way is probably like, video, right? Everybody just whips out their phone, they video
Yeah.
the process. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, that you can incorporate that into the company IP, right? Have some
Hmm.
kind of a portal where they can upload that video, give them a reward if everyone decides that, oh yes, this is the best way to do that. Give them a reward, put that out there. Say, if you win, I'll buy you lunch, right? Or something like that for like a week or something. Depending on how much time and the savings, right, that it creates. You can kind of quantify it that way too. But have make it a competition in that case. Kind of an
Yeah,
interesting
it's a
idea.
gamification perks.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
give them points, give them rewards for doing something. They're more incentivized to give you that feedback
Yeah.
and to think beyond just, oh, let me just do my job, you know?
Then that becomes you can actually use those videos then potentially for your social media as well, right? Then you could actually, depending on how comfortable you are with sharing IP like that. But anyway, um, something to think about. And then there's also having contingency plans in case everything goes south too quick and you can't catch up. Like, what are you
Mm,
going to do in that case, right?
yeah.
Having an idea of potential risks. I know it's like you don't want to sit there and think about all the bad things that could happen, but um,
There's
I,
always risks in business.
yeah, I just
Um,
saw. I think it was somebody on LinkedIn had posted this. I Every time before I start a new venture, I think of all of the bad things that could happen, of all the ways that it could go wrong. And they said that this has actually been more productive for them uh, than anything in the process. So for one thing, you create this list of all the things that could happen. Um, it alleviates all of that worry that's kind of building up. There's so something to be said for getting it out on paper, so that it no longer affects you.
yeah.
If you
Yeah,
want
it
what
makes sense.
if like there's kind of like this old saying, if you want to be able to control something, you got to know the name, right? You got to be able to call it out. And
Hmm.
so there's something to be said for that. But then there's also, okay, so I know all the bad things. Now I can figure out what I'm going to do if those bad things happen. And that is your contingency planning. That is where you're like, okay, if this happens, this is how I'm going to pivot in that case, right?
Yeah, and that helps to put all that bad stuff into perspective,
Yeah.
knowing that you do have some control and you can put some plans in place to mitigate those risks
Yeah.
and any of
That way
those
you're not
bad stuff
chewing
that's
on
going
it
to
and
happen.
ruminating.
Yeah, yeah, it's not just like sitting in the back of your head,
Yeah.
just making you all miserable and depressed. It's like, no, let's put a plan in place to actually deal with this if it comes up.
So
Yeah.
I encourage everybody, take a moment, think about your processes. What are you doing? Everything. What are you doing? What are all your processes? This is
Mm.
how I do this thing. This is how I do this thing, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have systems that allow you to anticipate changes in the market or, changes that would affect how you do something? Um, if not, now might be the time to figure that out. So anyway, okay.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
fantastic. I think that takes us to the end of our topic today.
yeah,
We want to make sure that we adapt in order to stay competitive, right? Don't get stuck in your comfort zone. Um, do the market research, build a culture of innovation from within and the among the top. Do the whole I like the whole idea of the undercover boss because if they get too siloed and just looking at numbers, then you
yeah,
forget about like what's really happening in your
yeah,
business, right? And then
yeah.
having those contingency plans in place
A,
are a fantastic help to make sure
a,
that your business is adaptable.
a case in point with that exact thing that you're saying is
Mm.
if you're, I don't know if your viewers, I worked in Saudi Arabia quite a bit, and so I kind of keep tabs on that. But one of the things that they're doing there is building this city in the desert, right? Neom is what it's called. Uh,
Right. And it's like miles and
yes,
miles long, and it's just this
yes,
linear
yes, totally bizarre. But as
thing. It's
is
a total
probably
waste of money,
well, that's what they're finding
highly
out.
inefficient.
And so the problem with it is though that the boots on the ground, the engineers kept it hidden from MBS, who is Mohammed bin Salman, right? The king, the heir
Mhm.
apparent. And so all along, it turns out that this is, practically impossible, the things that they wanted to do, but they kept it hidden because they wanted to please the king, right? Oops.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Anyway, little side
Yeah,
note there.
it's yeah. Well, it's not good when your people don't feel like they have the freedom to speak.
Precisely. If you want a
Yeah.
case in point of what not to do, check that out.
Empower your
um,
people to give you their opinion.
yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So contingency plan. What happens if it also have that in place, right? What happens if
Absolutely.
this happens? What happens if that happens? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? So that there's no surprises in that case, or very
Yeah.
few. You limit the surprises. So, yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So that's our talk for today. Subscribe, like the video, comment. What are you doing to innovate in your business? How are you fostering a culture of feedback and innovation? And how are you planning for the future, just in case? You know, we all take risks when in business. What happens if the best thing that you have planned for doesn't work, right? Um, and also share this with others, and we will see you next time.